Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Hallie Bridgeman, and this is my introduction to my channel, A Grieving Parent. And I've thought about all the ways I wanted to do this channel, and I thought about having like a black background and like a spotlight and, a stage and making it very dramatic and very dark. And then I decided, nope, I just need to be free to be me, to log in and make a quick video when I think about what I want to talk about. And so this is this is as me as you're going to get. And so I want to tell you my story. In January of 2023, my husband and I took back possession of a house renters had been in for 8 years. And it was something that they were supposed to buy that they never did buy. So eventually we just had them leave because we wanted to sell the house. It was the beginning of our retirement. So that we were going to sell the house and then go buy our forever home. And we were living in Fort Knox, which was 2 hours away. Our daughter had just gotten married and was local to the house where the renters were. And so in January of 2023, January 4th, I came and took possession of the house from them. My husband was in a meeting and couldn't come with me that morning, but was meeting me here that night. And I called him from the car because I could smell the house from the curb. And it was horrifying. It was disgusting. We had to put Vicks Vapor Rub under our noses and masks on our face just to be able to walk through the house without throwing up. It was terrible. We ended up with a 40-foot dumpster that we emptied 4 times, just getting all of the garbage out of it. And we had to gut the floor down to the floor joists and replace some of those. We had to gut the walls to the wall studs, and we had to replace some of those. And we had to take all the ceilings out. We had to replace all the lighting. Both staircases had to be replaced. They had bred German Shepherds that they didn't let out of the house. Even the yard had to be gutted. The yard was, I don't know how they destroyed the yard. It was like this terrible fairy tale of the wickedness that had infiltrated the house. So a couple months into the 2-hour drive back and forth between Fort Knox and Clark County, we decided we couldn't afford to have both places and to do the back and forth, and we just needed to move back into the house. And so my husband Greg and my son Johnathan, whom we had nicknamed Jeb, moved into the house in March and started putting in floors and toilets. And then my son Scott and I started packing our house in Fort Knox. And we were coming every other day with loads that we moved into storage, and then, having lunch with, or having dinner with Greg and Jeb, and then going back to Fort Knox to do it again. So that was our setup for what happened. On April 27th, a Thursday, we cleared our housing in Fort Knox. We took a family picture in the empty living room, and then we made our final journey from Fort Knox to Winchester, Kentucky, and unloaded the last load into our basement because our 2 large storage facilities had already been filled with our household goods from Fort Knox while we were working on construction on the house. And then on April 29th, after our Saturday Shabbat services with our Messianic congregation, Jeb asked if he could walk to Walmart, and Greg had just come in from National Guard drill. And we said, yes, you can walk to Walmart. He was so excited to be local to a Walmart because in Fort Knox, he couldn't go on his own. And he was 14. And about 8:30 that night, he hadn't come home yet. And so I called his phone, and a police officer answered. And he said that, he asked me who I was trying to reach, and I said my son, who walked to Walmart and hadn't come home yet. And he said, well, I need you to come to this intersection, the Red Wing and the bypass in Winchester, and I'm afraid that if this is your son, he's dead. Which was I'm sure that he was just shocked to be standing over a dead 14-year-old, but it was horrifying to hear. And I screamed my husband's name, and he said, we don't know if it's true yet. And we drove them less than a mile to the intersection with our son Scott, and Greg identified the body. And that was the beginning of our journey. And that has sitting here right now, it's December 1st of 2025. So we're at just over 2.5 years. And I have felt compelled for about a year to create this channel. And what it is we couldn't find any good resources that weren't this laborious book to go through. And so, I have lots to say and lots to think about. I'm coming from a place of faith. I'm a follower of God, a lover of Yeshua, Jesus. And I just want to provide resources and empathy and experiences for those of you who are suffering this tragedy that is unimaginable. We've done it, and we have surviving siblings of Jeb. Our daughter had just gotten married, and she was not even 6 months married when Jeb was killed. I guess she was 7 months married when Jeb was killed. We have our son Scott. At the time I'm speaking this, he's 19, but at the time he was 16, and he has autism, and he handled everything very differently than another 16-year-old would, and so we had to navigate that as well. And so I just want to welcome you to my channel and hope that I can be an encouragement to you. God bless you.